I'm Becky, and today I'm going to go over how to sew a button. Now we have different types of buttons. We have the shank button, which is a little thing on the end here. And then we have the shank-less button, which is completely flat. Okay, the shank is what makes a button lie flat on a piece of clothing. So we have a shank, which is the loop, and then we have a thread shank, which we're going to do when we sew on our button. So when you sew on a button on a piece of clothing, you want to make sure your buttonhole and your button line up. So you're going to put your button, or if this is no button here, you want to make sure that you put your buttonhole where you want the buttons to go. And then you mark your spot where you want the button to go on your fabric. And so the shank, when you put the button in the buttonhole, it will lay flat because it needs some space underneath. That's why we do the thread shank and the loop shank. The loop shank on a piece of clothing pretty much allows it to lay flat on your clothing. So we have a shank button, and then that goes through the hoop, and the button lays flat, like so. Okay, so we want to have our thread, and we want our thread to match the fabric. I'm using a regular mask here for my demonstration. So you want to. There's always a little notch here that your thread goes in, like so. And so you just pull out the thread, and you're going to pull it out, unravel it for a good length, because you will be doubling this. And you take your scissors, make sure to cut diagonally the thread. And then my mom always licked it between her teeth. If you think that's disgusting, she also put metal pins in her teeth too. Okay, so there's two ways to thread a sewing needle. And yes, there are longer, like embroidery needles and crochet needles and all sorts of needles, knitting needles, craft needles, needles that you would string beads with. So there's different types of needles, and the easiest way to thread is, once you make it, put it between your teeth and just stick it in the hole, and it goes in. But if you don't have nimble fingers, or you don't have very good eyesight, you can always get a needle threader. So the needle threader goes here, goes in the hole. I can't see with these glasses. Okay, so you want to put the needle in here, like so. Oh, where did it go? There it is. Cut it off, and now it's gone. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. I'm sure. Okay, so we got the threader with the needle, and then you want to take the thread and you put it in the threader here. I cannot see tiny things. and some more threads here. Okay, so take the thread into the threader, and then maybe. Okay, and you want to hang on to both sides because these things have history popping out. You want to take the needle and slide it to the threader and into the thread, and then you just push it in, and then release, and that's how you do a needle threader. So when you get it threaded, I'm going to go to the very, very end, doing the string in half, and you want to tie a knot. Now if it's a large fabric like a crocheted sweater, knitted sweater, you want to make a larger knot, or if it's just a piece of cloth, like cotton or polyester or something, you just make a little knot here. I usually do it twice. So make a knot, and try to make it out in the same place so your thread doesn't go through. So try to get the knots in the same place. So there we have our knot. Okay. And then once we got our needle threaded, we're going to take our button. I'll use the 4 one. There's 2 holes, 4 holes, and then we have the shank button. And so I'm going to situate your button where you want it. You can even mark it. And you want to go underneath, and you want to get your button, and then you just thread it through, all the way through, and then usually with the 4 holes, they go crisscross. So you want to crisscross this, and then you just put it. And you just put it in the hole, so, and then you pull it on through. And that, my people, is called sewing, or as I'm doing, hand sewing. And then you want to go in the other hole, and then push on through, and then you go in the other hole, and it comes out the bottom. So there you go. If you're wondering about thimbles, okay, a thimble usually goes on the finger, either your index finger or your middle finger, or some will do on the ring finger, and then just like it's mostly for when you do a lot of hand sewing. You use the thimble to push onto the needle through the hole. So you would poke this through, and then you use the thimble to push down on your thread. That's what a thimble's for. And I know a lot of craft stores sell like crafting hoops that you stick on to hold the fabric still while you sew, or you can just use your fingers, just hold the fabric there. And then you pull it out, and then you use the thimble to push it in. Which would be like this. That is what a thimble's for. Just to push down on the needle. Then, when we're all done, you want to poke to the side, go to the side, you see your needle right behind the button, and you want to create the thread shank, which is around and around, and then you want to push down into the fabric. And then you'd under here you'd cut the thread, tie a knot. This is kind of short. Just cut the thread, and then grab the thread and you just make a knot. Oops, that's wrong. Okay, I lost my thread. But anyway, you'd grab your thread and tie a knot. Let's see. So this is the first one. Okay, so we'll do it again with the other buttons. Let me get on my threads here. Oh, that is a little bit longer. Alright, so take the needle and put the thread through the hole. And I just cannot see these glasses on. Okay. There we go. And take the thread, put it in the threader. And hold it. And push the needle through the threader into the thread. And voila. And learn to knot it at the end. Knot. And I always like to do 2 knots to make sure they're big enough. I get the knots right. Okay, this time we're going to do the 2-hole. So we're going to situate our button where we want it. Go from underneath. And we go in the hole. And then push down. And this is what they call sewing. And try not to poke yourself. Okay, get rid of my buttonhole. There we go. Then when we're done, we take our, put it underneath the button. So it's sticking out here underneath the button. And then we'll wrap it around, creating the thread shank. And then push down. it. Then you create a knot so it stays. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. I'm not really sewing these on here. And tie knot. I always do it twice. You're probably wondering, how did I learn to sew? I learned to sew when I was 12 years old from my mother and my sister, who both love to sew. They sew quilts, they sew clothes, they cross stitch and embroidery. And 2 knots. And excess we just cut away. So we got 2 buttons on here. And from this thread and cut off, I can do the shank button. This, we don't have to wrap the thread around it. Okay, so see, small things with these ones. Okay, so we put the threader in the needle eye, and my mom always took the end of the thread and like that, and the teeth. Some people might find that disgusting, and then like that, and then you push the needle through here, and voila, you thread it. Okay, then we do the knot. Okay, now we do it twice. Then we get our button. We situate our button to where we want it. And that's why we don't have holes. So we're going to have to poke our thread in, put our needle through the shank, okay, and then punch right back into the fabric where we want it to be. And you just do that a few times. Go through the fabric. Put the needle through the shank. Maybe if we get this hold still. And then pull it on through. And do that a few times. Punch down in. Yeah, with the button, you usually don't use it that well. It's mostly for quilting. And then we pop up again. Put the needle through the shank. Pull it and then go down to the fabric. And then when you're done, you just cut the thread and tie a little knot when you're done. And tie a little knot. Nice and tight. And that's how you sew on buttons. All 3 styles. And do there, because that's a heavy button. Okay, so there. So 3 buttons onto a mask. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out my other videos. Bye.